Hello and welcome to another PowerMaths lesson. Today we're carrying on looking at grams and we're thinking about how we can find something's mass to the nearest 100 grams. Let's get going with a flashback 4 to get started.
Okay, here's your flashback 4 today, so you know what to do. Have a go at these questions, click pause here and click play when you want to check the answers. So question 1, complete the sentence. The something weighs more than the something, and we've got the banana and the pineapple on the balance there. And the answer is the pineapple weighs more than the banana. Question 2, what time is shown on the clock? The answer is 25 to 1. Question 3, draw the arrow after half a turn. And it would be facing in the other direction, just like that. And question 4, what fraction of the sweets are red? The answer is 3/4. Right, let's get started with our PowerMaths lesson for today. So here's your discover today. We are looking at measuring mass in grams again, and this time we're focusing on weighing scales. Question 1 says this: what is the mass of each guinea pig? So you can see we've got some guinea pigs here that are being weighed. Part B says another guinea pig weighs more than the smallest guinea pig, but less than the middle guinea pig. What could its mass be? So things to consider today. What is the scale on these weighing scales going up in? Is it ones? Is it fives? Is it tens? Is it hundreds? Look carefully to work this out. Click pause here and click play when you're ready to go through the answers. Okay, let's talk about today's Walt and Wilfs and have a think about these answers. So our Walt today, to measure the mass to the nearest 100 grams. Our Wilfs, to count beyond 100, so numbers that are bigger than 100, to use the scale on a balance or weighing scales, and to find mass to the nearest 100 grams. So let's have a think about this first question. What is the mass of each guinea pig? Now, if we look at these weighing scales, we can see that they start on 0 grams. It's quite small to see, so you have to look carefully. And each jump around the scales is a jump of 100 grams. So we are counting up in 100s. And you can see here that Astrid is saying, I used a number line to work out which numbers are missing from the scale. So she counted up in 100s. 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 is already in for you, and all the way up to 900. So those guinea pigs, the way that we find out how much they weigh is by counting round in 100s. So let's have a look. The smallest guinea pig has a mass of 300 because we count round 100, 200, 300, and that's where the arrow is pointing. The next one, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. So the middle guinea pig has a mass of 700 grams. And the last one, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. So the largest guinea pig has a mass of just under 800 grams. We can say that it's 800 because today we're focusing on to the nearest 100. So if it was 799 or 802, it's still really close to 800. And we can't read exactly because we haven't got a scale going up in ones. So we're just choosing the 100 that it's nearest to. Okay, now the second question said this. Another guinea pig weighs more than the smallest at 300, but less than the middle at 700. So you can see here that if we write out the hundreds between 300 and 700, we've got 400, 500 and 600. So the other guinea pig could have any mass that's more than 300 and less than 700. So all the way from 301 all the way up to 699. But if we're thinking in hundreds, then we would have said 400, 500 or 600. Okay, so we've had to think about using these weighing scales, and today we're thinking about counting in 100s. Let's think together then through some more questions. So question 1 says this: read the scales for these pets. Write the mass of each pet to the nearest 100 grams. So even if the arrow is not pointing exactly at one of the jumps of 100, we're going to go for the nearest one. So have a think about these two pets here, count round, see how much the tortoise weighs and see how much the bird weighs. So click pause and have a go at that now. Let's have a think about question 1 then. So over here we've got this tortoise and we need to count up in hundreds all the way to the arrow. So we've got 100, 200, 300, 400. So this one is 400 grams. And this one here, well, we haven't got the jumps already said for us, so we need to count round ourselves. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. So this one is 800 grams. Okay, question 2. The vet weighs some hamsters, a squirrel and a rat. And then we've got A, copy and complete these statements. So the something is the lightest, the something is the heaviest, and then we need to order all 3 of them by mass, by how much they weigh. So we're thinking about how much each animal weighs to work this question out. So click pause, have a go at part 2, and then click play when you're ready to go through the answers. Okay, let's start with part A. So the something is the lightest. Well, if we look here, we need to know how much each of them weigh, don't we? So the hamster is first, and we can see that the hamster is being balanced with 200 grams here. 100, 200. So the hamster's 200 grams. The squirrel, if we count round, it's quite small, but we can still see 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. So that's heavier, the squirrel. Over here, we've got the rat being balanced with 2 hamsters. Now we know that 1 hamster is 200 grams, so 2 hamsters is double that, 400 grams. So we've got 200, 600, and 400. So the lightest is the hamster, the heaviest at 600 is the squirrel, and then if we were to order them by mass, we would have the hamster, the rat, and then the squirrel. And notice that I've used my less than symbol. The hamster weighs less than the rat, and the rat weighs less than the squirrel. Okay, time for the challenge. Now, because we're not in school, we couldn't do the exact challenge for this lesson, so I've got a challenge for you. If you have a set of scales in your house, now you might not, so don't worry if you don't, then you can just move on. But if you do have a set of scales in your house, try and find some things that weigh less than 100 grams and things that weigh more than 100 grams. And make a table like the one below showing things that are less than 100 grams and things that are greater than 100 grams. So click pause here, and if you have a set of scales, have a go at this challenge. Great, well hopefully you were able to have a go at the challenge today. Don't worry if you weren't. It's now time for us to move on to our practice books. So today you're on page 93, and as usual, join me for an extension question when you're done. Click pause here and have a go now. Fantastic, great work having a go at this in your practice book. Time for that final extension question. So true or false? The blue cube weighs 26 grams. So I've got a picture here to help you, and you might want to think about, as a little clue, think about how much the red spheres weigh. But true or false, the blue cube weighs 26 grams. Click pause here and click play when you have your answer. Ready to share the answer? It is true. Let's have a think about how you can work this out. So let's start with this first balance over here. We've got 2 red balls weighing 20 grams. So we know that 1 red ball is half as much, and that's 10 grams. So a red ball equals 10 grams. If we look at the second balance here, we can see that on this side we've got 56 grams, and that's being balanced by 3 balls and a blue cube. Now we know that the balls are 10 grams, so if we count up in tens, 10, 20, 30, we know that these balls here weigh 30 grams. But over here we've got 56 grams, so the blue cube must be providing the rest of the weight. And if we did 56, take away the 30 to find out what's left, we know that you need 26 more grams to make 56 overall. 10 at 10 at 10 at 26 makes 56, and that balances with the weight over here. So it's true, the blue cube does weigh 26 grams. Well done if you were able to get that right, and well done for having a go either way. That's it for today's lesson. We'll finish things there.
Well done on finishing another PowerMaths lesson. I'll see you again for the next one soon.